guys, welcome back to the shop. Happy Father's Day. Father's Day is upon us, and for those of you that are fathers, happy Father's Day to y'all. It's not an easy job, but it's the best job you'll ever have. I think we'll all agree to that. So today we've got our 1978 ATC70 back in the shop, and we are going to put some new shoes on it, as the kids say. And we're going to do some other work too. We got a carburetor petcock for this machine. We're going to clean the carburetor. We're going to pull the tank on this one and the fenders. I've yet to really tear into this machine. We got it up and running. We tested it. It did run, and we kind of stopped the video there while we waited on parts. We've got our parts in from you know where, 223 Cycles. Curtie, thank you so much. Happy Father's Day to you, sir. He is enjoying Trike Fest, and today is his birthday. So happy birthday, Curtie, over at 223 Cycles. Get all of your carburetor stuff there, fork rebuild, fork boots. Just got a ton of stuff on the website. Check him out. But today we are going to tear into this and see what we're working with. I'm not going to sell this one, guys. I'm going to keep this one. I just like the story. I like the if you didn't see the video when we brought this in, this machine was mislabeled by Honda, and they sent the original owner a letter explaining it with a replacement ID identification tag. I have all of that paperwork for this machine. I'm going to keep this machine. I think it's going to stay with me for a while. So I don't know what we're going to do to it. I'm probably going to keep it very much original if we can, within reason. And so I really don't want to change how it looks. I just want it to run and ride and look a little bit better. I think we can clean it up. Certainly going to need some new shoes. These rear tires are brand new, but they're dry rotted. Look at the nipples still on them. But they're dry rotted and they won't hold any air. I put air in them to flat the next day. So if you're new to ATC70s and early three-wheelers, they came with what's called as a split rim. It's two halves of the rim. All three rims were that way. They're all the same. A lot of people ask that question. The fronts are different than the rears, and they're not. They're all the same wheel. That way you can rotate your tires if need be. And so what we have here, if you look in the wheel hub here, you'll see 6 bolts. You have 3 that bolt the wheel to the hub, and the hub is held on with your large axle nut here. And then we've got 3 bolts here that are facing the opposite direction. You see the nuts are on this side and the bolt heads are on that side. These 3 is what squeezes the rim together or holds it together. Inside this little indentation all the way around, there is a rubber O-ring, and what happens over time is that O-ring, people forget to put it back in, and then they fight with low tires all the time, or the O-ring it slips, it moves, it dry rots, it cracks, anyways, it leaks. And as much as I like the way Honda did things back then, we're going to do them a little different today. We are not going to put O-rings in here. I've done that. I have mounted these tires by hand before, brand new O-rings in them, come out the next day and they're flat. I'm not going to do that. So I suggest to you, for the money and the time investment, is to go ahead and tube your tires. You can pick these up. You can get a 4-pack for I think $32. I did on Amazon. There's a link in the description. I go ahead and when I get them, I take them out of the package. I put just a little bit of air, and it's certainly not full, and let it sit over on the counter or the table and just kind of let it acclimate and get used to that shape. Now, with keeping this machine, that means we're going to put a little more money in it. We're going to put a little bit nicer products in it, nicer parts. We're not just going to get the cheapest part that'll work. We're going to get a little bit nicer part to try to retain the originality of this machine. And in doing so, if you need original reproduction tires, Serra tires is the best tire to go with. And I got mine from DA Restorations, which is Travis Gisclair. They're in the Louisiana. So check him out. I'll put that on the screen and the link below. He's got a ton of reproduction parts over there. Grab bars, gas tanks, shifters, wheels, tires, all kinds of stuff. So in looking at this machine here, our gas tank it's a little rough. It's a little rough, but I have seen worse. My biggest concern is going to be this little area right here. If you're ever out looking at a machine and you see a dark area or the paint's wrinkled down on this bottom edge here, that means that there's rust there, and it's going to come through eventually. Question is how, when is it going to come through? Check out the other side. A lot of times if the machine had a flat tire, the machine leaned to one side. More than likely this machine had a low left rear tire, and that's probably where the fuel ran to this corner, and that's why only one corner is starting to rot out on it. Let's pull it down. Let's look and see what we have. We're definitely going to need a seat cover, but our foam is in really good shape. It's still, I don't even think I've sat on this machine, to be honest with you, but the foam is good. You can tell that it's not chewed up. It's just that split where the seat cover has pulled from drying out. But remember, this one's black. You're 83, 4, and 5, I believe. Is that right? We know 85 is blue, but this one did come with a black seat. I like the blue. I gotta be honest, I like the blue. The blue looks better. If you notice, there's a theme, red and blue. The sporty machines, blue seat. Utility machines, black seat. Now that's not exactly true. It doesn't hold up to all of the machines. Let's get started. Let's pull the wheels off of this, the fender off of this, and the tank. Let's get the tank soaking in some metal rescue, and we'll see what we're working with on the tank. We're going to pull the carburetor, and we're just going to tear this machine down today. When you paint one part of a chain, then all the other links look like crap. Well, the same can be said for a three-wheeler. You paint one thing, or you replace one part, you put a new part on it. As nice as that is, it makes all the other parts look really bad. So if you're not looking to do a full restoration, and you're not willing to financially, jump off into that, pick and choose what you're going to change. I want to keep this 78 for a little while. I'm going to put a little more money in it than I normally would. It's not a quick flip. I know that going in, and so that has kind of guided my choices. So today we are going to turn these wheels. I know that's pretty bad, isn't it? Yeah, they make it look like those wheels. Those are the other two wheels off this machine. I've already got it done. So how did I get those results? Well, what I did is I started out with my handy dandy DeWalt's, because I'm a DeWalt guy. Y'all see those memes? There's either Milwaukee guys or DeWalt guys or Ryobi guys. But anyways, working men use DeWalt. So I take them and I set it up like this. Now first you got to start off with a wheel that's in good shape. There's no holes, there's no pitting in these that are deep enough to go all the way through. There is some light rust. This is all surface rust. There's some still original paint on here. And so what I did is literally just held it with my left hand. I put the rim against the table here so I could kind of balance it and roll it. And I just work it with the drill all the way around like this. Then I reverse my drill and I go the other direction. That is key, because once your wheel takes kind of a curve to it, it'll actually stop cutting as much. And if you reverse it, it'll start cutting again. So with your gun going clockwise, just go in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. Get way down in those little crevices. And don't try to get it all in the first pass. Take your time. Switch your drill. Once you go all the way around, you see how much more material that picks up now that it's going the other direction. And continue to do that all the way around the wheel. I take the drill because it's easier to hold on to it, and I get this outer lip really good with the drill, and then I take it over to a bench grinder with a wire wheel on it. Then I take this and I run it on the inside because I want to get all the schmutz off the inside where the old bead used to sit. I want to get all that off. I want to clean that up, and I want to clean the outer edge of the rim really good against the wheel. I'll put it in here just like that. Just keep a little light pressure on it, and I'll clean the inside of that wheel. And the reason you do that is for a lot of reasons. Is you want to stop the rust. You want to be able to get paint to stick there. Sometimes you'll find grease in that area where they mounted the tires. Sometimes you'll find a lot of pitting and rust if the tire's been flat for a long period of time. You want to get all that off because I do not like split rims. It's just a personal preference. So I do not put back on the little O-ring thingy. I don't like it. I have done too many of these, come out the next morning, and all 3 tires be flat, and you got to start over. And when you're breaking these down by hand and fighting with them to get the old ones off, that's the last thing you want to do is come out and have a flat tire. I tube all of my 2-piece wheels for that reason. So when you're looking for tubes, pay attention when you order them. Just don't buy a regular old, the first tube you see. Make sure it's got a short valve stem like this one, and it's also straight. And the reason it is, you'll see that the stem is just off from center of the actual shape of the inner tube. And the reason that is because of where your hole is in your rim is just off of center. So it's a perfect fit for these. Okay, they're not special, they're not ATC70 tubes or anything, but when you get your wheel, make sure you don't have the curved valve stem. I like the straight ones. It makes it look like it's a regular old straight tube or a straight valve stem wheel and tire combo. So once you get your wheels cleaned up like that, then what I like to do is I take my inner tubes as soon as I get them, and I'll go ahead and I'll put air in them just like this. So you can tell it's got air in it, and it's been like that for a couple days. I want it to take that shape. The same with your tires. When you order tires, they will probably come banded because shipping will eat your lunch if you don't. And so what I like to do is go ahead and let the tires, cut them open, put them out in the sun if they're really compressed, and they have been that way for a long time. Go ahead and put them out in the sun. Let them get hot and limbered up and soft. Then what I like to do is take the valve core. You're going to need a little valve core stem puller. They almost give these things away. Here's a little one here, and what I do is I take the valve core out of the valve stem. Now I'm sure a lot of y'all know this, but some of you might not. Inside your valve stem here, there's just got a little core. You'll hear the air come out of here, but the tube's already taken its shape, and that's what we wanted. We want to get all the creases out of it. And I'll go ahead, and my tire's already taken its shape, and so we've got all of the banding creases out of it. And I go ahead and I put the tube in the tire. And this is the same way I do a traditional rim too, even if it wasn't in a split rim. I get my tube and I set it in there like I want it. Make sure it's not twisted, because if it gets twisted, you're going to have a big hump or knot in your tire. Once your wheels are painted and you're ready to put them back together, it's not a bad idea to put a little lube right here on the inside of the tire. If you don't have any grease or tire lube, you can use WD-40 or any type. Water will work in a pinch, but soapy water works better. Put a little soapy water, because as this tube starts to expand, you're going to want this tire to stretch out, and you want it to slide against the inside of this rim, and that's why we took the time to hit it with the wire wheel, because you see, you don't want it to get hung up on this rust. And so get all the rust off of it. It's a great opportunity to paint the inside of the wheel too when you do the outside. Go ahead and paint your nuts and bolts too, and that's, you would think it was just second nature, but you will forget. An easy way to do it is just to get a piece of cardboard, that the box the tubes came in, drill some little holes or poke some holes with your pocket knife. Now, I take my nuts and bolts and I run them through my ultrasonic cleaner. If you're interested in one of these, I like the ones with the knobs on them. I don't like the ones with the buttons. Buttons seem to wear out. Knobs don't seem to wear out as much. You can pick this up. There's a link in the description on Amazon. I love that one. This is a 6-liter, which is pretty doggone big. It's big enough to do everything I really want. Carburetors, heads, things like that. I run my hardware through the ultrasonic cleaner, and I stick it in a Ziploc bag. I stick it down in there so that way it's easy to fish them back out. You're not worried about losing your nuts and your bolts in the bottom of your ultrasonic cleaner. Then I just open and build a paint booth. Paint booth, there you go. Garbage bag, you can pick it up and reuse it as a garbage bag when you get done. And when you get done, you will end up with just the best looking tire, honestly, hands down, for your machine. We do have a new air filter installed. We do have a new seat cover installed. I went ahead and the frame was bent just a little bit. The backbone was bent. Straightened that out, put a bottle jack in here because I had the carburetor off. We cleaned the carburetor, and we went through that with a kit from 223 Cycles. We went ahead and put a bottle jack in here. We stretched the frame out a little bit. We hot stapled, and I got carried away. I got a little too hot. I'm pretty upset with myself about that, but it happens. We hot stapled our broken number plate, and I went ahead and hot stapled what wasn't riveted. This was still cracked all the way over here, and so I hot stapled that as well and gave it a nice wipe down with some 303 about a week ago. And as you see, I've had some dirt in the shop, and it found its way on there. We're going to tackle the brake coming up next. All right, guys, we've got the rear tore down here. If you've never done one of these 70s, raise your hand. Yeah, I've never done one. So, you know, a quick search on the YouTube, I found another video that touched on this. It wasn't exactly the same thing, but it touched on it. What we had here is we had a locked up brake cam, is what I'm going to call it. That's what it does, so that's what I'm going to call it. The shoes were good. Let me tell you how I got to this point. So the first thing you want to do is take this outer nut off and the hub and slide this spacer. You see the spacer I have there on the floor here. Slide your collar or spacer off. That's what this is it holds the axle center. It does a lot more than just, you know, protect the axle, but it does that too. So once that's off, I put the hub back on just to see, and then I had an old bushing here, an old bearing, and I tightened down this nut to where I could hammer against this, and then I thought about it and I said, oh, that's a bad idea, don't do that. So I got this socket so I could actually hammer against the washer, against the bearing that I put in, and then against the hub itself. So I'm not touching these splines or this socket at all. Or excuse me, these splines or this nut at all. I'm actually hammering against the washer, the spacer I put in, and then this hub. And what that did is that started pushing the axle out. It took it off the spline, or just barely off the spline. It's not off yet. Of the sprocket itself, but as you see, it pulled the brake housing drum. I've took this flange off here, and that's just a protective cover, but this is the bell of the brake. It's still in the factory spot, and I wanted to keep that. This being cast iron, it would probably seize up, more chances to seize up to the axle than the aluminum housing of the sprocket, and so that's why I decided to push the axle this way. Got to be honest with you guys, it just fell out. I mean, it was perfect. So the reason we did all of this is we had a frozen brake cam here. As you see, our shoes were dragging. The brake would engage, but then you'd have to like just hammer on it to get it to disengage. And so what I found is we pulled it over here, and I've already cleaned it up. But as you see here, we have the spline here for the brake arm, and it goes on here like this. And then so underneath that, there's a felt washer, and then underneath that, see how easy that comes off. All I did, guys, is I ran this through the wire wheel. You see these grooves in this cam? That's where your grease sits. And so this was just froze up. I mean, it's not wore out. You still see all the zinc plating. The felt washer looks good. I mean, this is just condensation and lack of grease, and now look at it. Isn't that great? So here's the reason I turned the camera on to show you this. I took all this off in a certain order. You want to put it back on in that order, but here, this is important. You see this little indentation, that little punch mark right there on the end of that cam? There's a punch mark here on this lever. And when you index this, because it's splined, you want to make sure that you get those two punch marks to match, and that's important. And I know what you're thinking, well, it's splined, why is it important? Well, it's splined on this end, but on the other end, it actually has the flat spot, and you want this arm to align where this flat spot here, the cam that actually kicks the shoes out, to be in a specific location. And so that's why that punch mark is there. Be sure and do that. If you get confused about your spring, be sure you remember the arm comes around behind the spring, and then our lock nut slides in just like that, or our bolt, locking bolt. It slides in like that. And this working with one hand's for the birds. Okay, so now we've got a functioning brake like it's supposed to be, and this assembly is ready to go back on. I went ahead and put the whole thing against the wire wheel, just got all the gunk off of it, but as you see, it spins super freely now. The first check I did on the brakes, and I'd recommend you do the same things. Always start with the easy thing first. Check your cable. Make sure your cable is going in and out, sliding smoothly through your casing. Make sure your lever, we've got a wood screw here. It's not a wood screw, but I don't think that's the right screw for this. But anyways, you want to check here. This is easier and cheaper to fix. This has taken me probably 30 to 40 minutes to pull all this down, only because I've never done it before. And so now we'll reassemble everything. We'll put our brakes back together. There was no point in putting the tires and wheels on with a brake that was dragging, and we had no brakes, and so that's not good. These shoes will clean up. You could take them off and clean them up, but they'll clean up friction inside the drum here. They'll clean up really good. As long as the shoe itself, as long as your braking material has not separated from the aluminum of the actual shoe, you're fine to just keep using them until all this material is either let go or wore out. All right, so that's it. I just wanted to show that to you just real quick. Things I run across that I'm not familiar with, I figure those are probably the same things y'all aren't familiar with. Or I'll pick the camera up and show to you how I figured it out or how I work through it. It might not be the right way, but it's a way. There, somebody put that on a t-shirt. All right, guys, one step closer. Check that out. Does that not look great or what? We got the right size, the right pattern. Those tires just set it off, and really just an hour or so cleaning up the wheels. Be sure when you indent your carriage bolts that the smooth side is out on the three that hold the wheel together. So on the valve stem side, be sure that the smooth nut or the carriage bolt is going towards the hub, and then when you bolt it on, you'll only have the bolts that hold it to the hub showing, and then you'll have the smooth on the outside. Perfect size, fit great. I do recommend tubing them. We got our aftermarket, it's about $39. Seat cover here. We got an air filter. We got a carb kit from 223 Cycles. Curtie, as always, is the man to call for your carburetor parts. As you see, we've already gone through the carburetor, and this is our new petcock. This is what was broken on this machine. Somewhere along its life, these two inlets had broken off from this petcock, and you couldn't put fuel in it. So while I had the carburetor off, I went ahead and cleaned it on the inside, put a new air filter on here. I'm excited. I'm ready to ride it. Got some more work to do. We're going to braze the tank. That'll be in probably next week's video. And I want to try to clean up this chrome. We're going to use a product called oxalic acid. I've used it before on the bicycle video, if you're familiar with that. That's where we took the bars off on the forks and everything, and we soaked it for like 48 hours. Turned out great. I haven't done anything to them. That's been 2 years ago. So yeah, it's certainly a great project. I'm looking forward to having the little 70 around. We're going to be keeping this one, and we're going to keep, I've got front forks coming for the 83 Z50, and those are going to be kind of our small projects in the shop. But yeah, just a couple hours every day, guys, or a couple hours a day, and you too can build something like this. Oh, by the way, I've got some new designs over at the merch store. If you want to check those out, we've got the 84 Ducati over there. We've got a Z50R. We got a couple 350Xs, 250Rs. We got some nice looking graphics to go on some t-shirts. Remember, you pick the color, you pick the size, pick whatever design you want, mix and match them. You can even do multiple designs if you want. I think it's almost too many options, but if you go over there and you check out the merch store, you can actually resize the merch yourself. So that's pretty cool. As always, thank y'all for watching. I appreciate it. Y'all take care. I'll see you in the next one.